Two scuba divers went for a dive as usual in the cool waters of the Isles of Scilly, where they expected the marvelous sights they would usually encounter during such an activity. However, what they did not expect was a harem of seals approaching them at the bottom of the ocean to try to warn them about something they did not know. During the dive, the two diver buddies caught sight of something uncanny that was not exactly a hidden treasure from a shipwreck. Although the coral reef and ocean flora and fauna were such unique sights to behold, Grayson and his diving partner had to stop in their tracks in amusement of something far more interesting for them at the time. The two felt a mix of awe and alarm when they saw two Atlantic gray seals making their way towards them. Contrary to popular belief, seals aren't always friendly and docile creatures, so you can just imagine how strange it was to see them approaching humans. At this point, Grayson and his diving partner were left with no choice. The two divers did what they had to do: nothing. Scuba divers are taught to give sea creatures the space and a leeway to continue as they are in any circumstance, especially since they are in their natural habitat. Disturbing these creatures could lead to an unpleasant end for the diver, and not the animal. So Grayson and his buddy decided to stay as calm as they could upon seeing the seals approaching. Seals have a reputation for being friendly and playful towards humans. However, this is not the case for all of them. Some seals prefer being left alone and gets dangerously aggressive once they sense something as a threat, so Grayson tried his best to be as non-threatening as possible. As the seals approached them, the two divers tried their best to remain calm amidst the threatening situation. While the situation seemed daunting for the two buddies, they saw the opportunity to film a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence, so they took their camera out to record the events unfolding right before their eyes. Seals are known to come up from behind and suddenly appear from thick kelp forests, which is precisely where the diver friends were near. The ocean is the largest natural ecosystem in the world, and it's no big surprise to know that it holds so many secrets and unpredictabilities. There is still a myriad of wonders hidden in this body of water that humans have yet to discover, so each dive is an opportunity to explore new possibilities and witness fascinating events. Diving videography is Grayson's niche, and many have watched in awe at his masterpieces. What the seals went on to do next was definitely something that Grayson never expected. The two divers were fortunate to have one another during that particular moment, as it was an opportunity for one to capture everything on film, while the other distracts the seals and observes their every move. Neither of them could have imagined how awestruck viewers of this footage would become, leading the video to be shared and viewed on YouTube by millions. As Grayson and his friend filmed the seals, these incredible sea creatures kept inching closer and closer towards them, so close that the first thing you will see when you watch the video is one of the seals swimming right next to the camera. During the seals' approach, the two divers eventually realized that these two were baby seals. The two divers saw that this was an opportunity of a lifetime, so they took the opportunity to get footage of these amazing sea creatures up close. Fortunately, the pups seemed to have sensed that they meant no harm and eventually got comfortable around Grayson and his friend, going around them in circles as if performing a show for them. Knowing that seals have a reputation of either being friendly and curious or indifferent and skittish, Grayson and his friend had to be careful as things could have gone bad if they made even just a single mistake. This was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, yes, but they'd also had to be cautious for their safety. While the two divers had plenty of experience to back them up, they were still careful about the situation as anything could come out of it, even bad outcomes. Between the friendly and curious, and indifferent and skittish types, the two seals were eventually found to be more of the former than the latter, and this was a good thing for the divers. The way they circled around Grayson and his friend were non-threatening, and they seemed to get even friendlier as they came closer. This playfulness and friendliness from the seals would remind you of dogs, and the cuteness of these sea creatures would make you think they were plump little water dogs. The pups seemed to be so fascinated with the encounter that they were in such close proximity with the divers. The baby seals opened up to them so fast that this was perhaps the closest encounter with seals that has ever taken place, ever. It seemed like the seals were trying to befriend them, turning an otherwise ordinary dive into an extraordinary experience that the whole world was able to watch in fascination. One of the seals approached Grayson in what seems like an attempt to hold hands. The nudging gesture continued, and it was looking as if the seal wanted to form a circle with the two divers. After what seemed like an affirmation of a new friendship formed, the seal took this as a sign to continue playing with the divers and took Grayson's arms. While professional divers are trained and certified to handle and manage their breathing underwater, among many other lessons, not all scuba divers are certified animal trainers. Hence, Grayson and his friend thought it best to remain careful with their actions by keeping still unless the seals gestured for them to move. During dives with the intention of exploring and studying wildlife creatures, it would normally take days before professional divers can gain the trust of seals or any other animal for that matter. So you could just imagine how odd this behavior was for the seals to immediately approach Grayson and his friend, as this was something unheard of until now. Getting too close is usually a sign of aggression for seals, but fortunately enough for the two divers, they were able to present a non-threatening aura to the seals that the cute pudgy creatures decided to play with them instead. One of the seals nudged Grayson's arm and nibbled on his diving suit playfully, all this while the two friends floated in awe. While all this was happening, the seal's companion was just swimming around them, minding his own business, and seemingly watching over his friend just as Grayson's friend was doing with him. Swimming gracefully with these humans around, the seals seemed so comfortable and open to the divers that one would think they had been friends for quite a while now. The pups were so much in their element, which added to their easiness, as swimming freely in the water was so much different from dragging their rotund bodies on land with their flippers. Seeing how they were so excited and enthusiastic about the encounter, the seals must have just begun exploring the underwater world when they came across the two divers. As what also happens to humans at times, the seal went against the norm and swam up to Grayson and his friend the moment he saw them. Upon making sure that the divers were friendly creatures, the seal deduced that it was probably safe to go on and play with them. Clearly, the seal was a very friendly one who seemed to have no sense of distance. It kept nudging Grayson's arm, and shortly after nibbling on his diving suit, it behaved in such a way that no one would have expected. After seeing the seal enjoying nuzzling on his arm for quite a while now, Grayson soon realized that it must like the feeling and scratched the seal's neck and head as if it were an actual puppy from land. This diving trip was definitely one for the books, and one that they, and a million others, wouldn't soon forget. After a generous amount of time with the sea creatures, Grayson and his friend were curious about how much longer they can continue to play with the seals. So the two decided to just make the most out of the amazing experience, as this was something they probably wouldn't encounter ever again, much more so, take a video of. The seals could have decided to swim away after playing with the divers for a bit, but they were apparently just getting started as one of the seals began moving around in a way that he wanted Grayson to interpret. Grayson kept scratching the seal's neck in an attempt to keep it calm, but it kept on inching closer and closer towards the ground, as if signaling something he wanted to do. All the while it kept on nibbling at Grayson's diving suit, urging him to do something, but it remained a mystery to him what exactly this something was. The pup eventually laid on its back, and this made it clear to Grayson that it was looking for a belly rub. The diver did such a good job petting the seal that it wanted him to continue doing so, this time at a more comfortable position and area. How adorable! This behavior is highly reminiscent of that of a dog, and it was such an amazing sight to see this from a seal. Grayson must be an expert at rubbing bellies, as the seal was excitedly flapping its flippers in what seemed like an attempt to commend the diver at how good the belly rubbing was. Just like a normal dog on a normal day, this seal laid on its back for a while as it enjoyed the belly rub. Once the pup had enough of the belly rubs, he swam back up and let Grayson rub and scratch its chin this time. This made the seal even more playful than ever as it began nibbling away at Grayson's diving suit some more, even having his hand in its mouth as some sort of playful gesture towards its new friends. While the seal was biting Grayson's hand, the concern on his face seemed apparent on the video, as this gesture could also potentially be dangerous. However, the seal's nibbles seemed gentle enough, so he decided to just let it be, as it only wanted to play. The seal's companion saw how much fun its friend was having, so it decided that it was just about time for it to have some fun too. So the second seal swam up to Grayson and began sniffing his feet. The first seal decided that it already had enough fun and games with its new friends and swam away while its diver friend continued to scratch his coat, but not without a look of satisfaction and gratitude for the belly rubs it received from Grayson. The awestruck divers watched happily as their new friends swam away. This encounter definitely left smiles on their faces, as it was so thrilling to have played with such friendly sea creatures like they never did before. In no time, the video reached international audiences, and various media outlets asked Grayson about this unique experience underwater. He told them that he was absolutely loving every moment of the encounter, albeit the nerve-wracking feeling he got during the first few minutes of it. The 55-year-old businessman and diver told the Manchester Evening News, "I had seen other seals in the water, but they just buzzed past us. None was as inquisitive as this seal was, and none as friendly. We were told just to sit on the bottom of the kelp, but the more still we were, the more inquisitive this seal was because we were in their world," Grayson shared. Grayson's quick thinking, indeed, helped them gain a favorable outcome of the situation, as their stillness intrigued the seals, who were unsure of what their intentions were in the beginning. While Grayson was an experienced diver, this experience at the Isles of Scilly that fateful day was like nothing he has ever encountered before in all his diving expeditions. "I'm an experienced diver, but I have never known anything like that. I've been all over the world, to Mexico and Cuba, to dive with great big mantras and sharks," Grayson further shared. The two divers were initially stunned to see the seals approaching them, but it was only because they never expected the sea creatures to come up and play with them. "If the truth be told, I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie. Before that, I was into skydiving, I had done aerobatics. I tend to live life on the edge. But this was certainly up there with anything I have ever done," Grayson shared, pertaining to his experience. Truly, this was a rare encounter that one would remember for a long time.